My name is Kim Case. I am one of the assistant principals here at John Hardin, and I want to welcome you guys to John Hardin. This is pretty exciting to get to be able to do this as a big group. I know when I was getting my notes together, I was looking for my notes from last year, and I was like, oh, wait a minute. I don't have notes from last year. We didn't get to do this last year. So I'm pretty excited that you all get to come into high school and have an open house. You know, ideally, we would have had you here on campus back in the spring and toured you around the building, but unfortunately, we weren't able to do that. But tonight, you'll get to get your schedules when we release. You'll get to walk around, meet your teachers. The good thing about John Hardin is you are going to discover very quickly our motto of family is not just words. It's not just us saying something. It is an actual way of being, way of life. It's the way we do things here. So if you have questions, ask anybody standing around, because if they don't know the answer, they'll find someone with the answer. It's just a family atmosphere. We help each other here, and that's what we aim to do tonight, is to help you guys get acclimated to the school, meet your teachers, ease a little bit of that anxiety for Thursday. I know we can't ease it all, but tonight hopefully will help a little bit. So let's go ahead and get started. I don't have a fancy PowerPoint or anything like that. I'm just going to go through my notes. Those of you, as you work with me over the next 4 years, you will get to know me. I'm pretty straightforward. I'm pretty informal. So if you all think of things as I'm talking, just say, hey, Miss Case, and I'll stop and I'll answer questions. Or if there aren't any questions as we're going, I'll stop at the end and then I'll open the floor for questions that would pertain to everybody. Now, if Mr. Wells happens to come in, I'll stop what I'm doing. I'll defer to him because he's making his way around to all the class meetings. So I will give him the floor when he's got time to come in here. Okay, so jumping right in, on Thursday, when you all get here, if you're coming on the bus, you're going to unload out front. Parent drop-off. If you have older siblings who were here last year and you were a car rider, you're going to figure out very quickly that parent drop-off is different than what it was last year, but it's the same as what it was pre-COVID. We've got that parking lot out front in the top. So car riders, when you come in the morning, you will come in not on our main entrance where the John Hardin sign is, but that second entrance, and you will loop in that top parking lot. You'll come in, the end gate by the John Hardin sign is going to be closed, okay, so that you can loop around and come in and exit the same entrance, okay? That's what our car riders will do. You'll come down the walkway, across the crosswalk, and into the building. There won't be drop-off in the back like there was last year. No student drop-offs in the back. They're all in the front of the building. For those who are going to get your schedule tonight and you see that you've got EC3 on there, the transportation to EC3 is provided. We have buses here that will take your student to EC3. And what I encourage you to do is to listen to the announcements at the beginning of the day, right before you go, because we'll come on the announcements and we'll say, all those students who are going to EC3 for third block, come on down to the main lobby. And so we'll call them out a few minutes before the end of class. They'll come down to the main lobby, and then they'll get on the bus to go to EC3, and then when their class is over at EC3, it will bring them back here. So we manage all of that transportation, but the main thing is that if your child is going to EC3, that they listen to announcements, and if they miss that, if they don't hear that, then they need to ask. If they know that they're supposed to be going to EC3 for third block and they've not done anything, they're still sitting in class, they need to ask someone, hey, did I miss that announcement? Do I need to go? Just tell them to make sure that they self-advocate. Something new to John Hardin this year, we're pretty excited to roll this out. We've finally been able, we've been really close the last few years, but we've finally been able to go one-to-one with Chromebooks. That's something that we're very proud to be able to do. So every student, over the course of the first couple of weeks, we're going to start on the 18th, I believe it is. We're going to start issuing Chromebooks to students. But what you need to know as parents is that a student cannot be issued a Chromebook without you filling out the proper paperwork. Okay, there is paperwork that has to be completed. It's an agreement, a contract that you have to sign as well as your student. So that's going to be available online. You can go to our school webpage, and it says there's a link that says one-to-one Chromebook info, and you can sign it online there. Or there's also going to be a table outside of the library tonight where you can complete that. If you want to do that while you're here and get that taken care of, then you can do that as well. If your student has his or her own personal device and wants to use that here at school, that's fine. But you do need to register that so that they're able to get onto our Wi-Fi, okay? And we'll also have the paperwork tonight for you to be able to do that. Another new thing, we've got Chromebooks. Everybody's going to get a Chromebook. We're also going to be using student IDs this year. You all probably saw on our social media that we were making student IDs the last week, I believe it was, when we were doing schedule changes. If you didn't get that made, though, you didn't miss the boat, okay? There's going to be plenty of opportunity to do that when school starts. We'll get you down to the library. Miss Selby is the one who's taking care of that, and we will get you your student ID. Right now, you can use that to check out books. Eventually, you'll be using that for lunch. We have a couple other things. But also, what you all probably know if you've been out in town, sometimes you can use that for student discounts, or you can use that as a form of ID because it's a picture ID and it has John Hardin on there. So that's something that we're excited to be able to offer our students this year. Okay, so let's get into the meat of being a freshman. All those things in high school that you probably heard about, or if you've got older children that have been through here, you know, but if you're brand new, these are the things that you need to know. Attendance. It's the same in Hardin County Schools as it was in middle school. You only have so many unexcused absences before you will owe hours, okay? The biggest difference in high school with attendance, if you owe hours, okay, if you have excessive unexcused absences, you don't make up those hours, what can happen, which is way different than anything you've ever done before, is that you will lose your credit. We cannot, the state requires us to make sure that students have a certain amount of seat time in order to give you credit. It's not just about passing the class. It's also about minutes in the seat. So in high school, if you don't do the minimum amount of hours, then we have to make those up either after school, Saturday school. We've got several different opportunities to take care of that, but it's just very different than probably what you've been familiar with in the past if you have excessive absences. Mr. Wilkerson is the one, he's the assistant principal who manages that, so anytime you have questions about that. Also Ms. Horn, Rita Horn, she's our attendance clerk. She's amazing. She knows all of the rules forward and backward. So those two folks would be your contact, Mr. Wilkerson or Ms. Horn, if you ever have attendance questions. This year, you're going to start out, you're going to have 3 trimesters, okay? We have 3 different grading periods, and you're going to have 5 classes each trimester. So once you have 5 classes T1, 5 classes T2, 5 classes T3, that's a total of 15 classes over all 3 trimesters. You're going to earn a half credit when you pass your classes, okay? So at the end of the year, if you've had 15 classes, you've passed them all, then you're going to have 7.5 credits. Okay, that's the goal, is to finish the end of the year with all your credits. If for whatever reason you do not pass some of your classes, what you need to know is at the end of the year, you have to have 5.5 credits in order to move on and be considered a sophomore when you come back your second year of high school. Okay, so 5.5 is what you have to move on, but 7.5 is what we want you to have at the end of the school year, because that means you've passed everything. When you all get your schedules here in a minute, when we dismiss, you're going to look at that, and you may look at that and see that there's a need for a schedule change. For example, maybe you came during the summer and took health during summer school, but it's still on your schedule. That would be a reason to fill out a schedule change request form and tell us, I need to have that changed. Or you have a missing block. You know, there's not anything on T1 third period. Say, for example, you were put into a regular class and you were wanting an honors or an AP class. Those are the situations in which we would honor schedule changes. We're not going to be doing those tonight, but you can fill out a form tonight. We'll be able to answer questions. Miss Vogel, she'll be answering questions. Oh, that's not Miss Vogel. No, we confused you guys. You told me that the other day, didn't you? They're tall and blonde, and I glance, and that's Miss Cobb, so I will introduce her in a second. But Miss Vogel and Mr. Lewis and myself will be answering questions about schedule changes, and we'll be able to help you with that. So I'm going to stop. I told you when they came in I was going to defer to them and give them the floor. So here's Mr. Wells.
Good evening. Let me try that one more time. Good evening. All right, that's what I like to hear. Welcome to John Hardin. Welcome to our Bulldog family. We are glad to have you. My name is Mark Wells. This is my I'm going to date myself here. This is my 21st year at John Hardin High School. I started out as a teacher here and have now become the principal over the past 6 or 7 years. Very thankful to be here at John Hardin. Thankful that you are here. I have a couple of notes. You're going to get one of these this evening. We will get this to you. We're going to try to have them out here in a few minutes at the schedule station where you pick up your student schedules. This is all the different avenues we have for you to communicate with us here at John Hardin. We have Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, our school website. We use emails, phone calls, and text all in one system. You may have got some of those already. If you haven't, what I need you to do is check tonight at our Infinite Campus station that we have your email correct and your phone number, so that you get all the communication from me and everything else going on with John Hardin. A couple other notes tonight. Help me out, please, with the COVID precautions. When you're up in the classrooms and you're meeting our teachers tonight, let's try to social distance the best we can. Same in our lines. When you're with the teachers, this is a big favor I'm asking here. Let everybody have a chance to talk to that teacher. Sometimes I have situations where a parent will talk to a teacher for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and guess what? Everybody else gets angry. We've got a line. Let's don't do that tonight. Let's keep moving the best we can. If you've got a major concern that you want to address with that teacher, let them know. They can write down your email or their email for you, and you can communicate that way. Or they can call you tomorrow. Either way is fine. We are not going to have a bash tonight. I had to make a decision. I was given the task of calling that off or going ahead and continuing it about 2 o'clock this afternoon. So what I did is I ensured a perfect weather evening tonight by saying we were canceling. So you can thank me for that later. But it did look like it was going to rain and be nasty earlier, so we had to cancel that event. I apologize for that. I do want to say, though, if you're interested in a sport, club, or activity, and you want to talk to that person tonight, see me in the Commons area, and I will try to connect you with that person, let you know what location they're in the building so you can get some information. And I will add that we are going to have we do this every year, but we're going to have our academic clubs and our athletic rush week once school gets started. So students will have an opportunity during lunch to be introduced to all the different opportunities we have for extracurricular activities. I think that's it for me. If you have any questions tonight, don't hesitate to ask any of my staff or myself. I'll be in the Commons area most of the evening tonight. Great having you in our Bulldog family. I'll introduce our transition coach, Jennifer Cobb.
Good evening. I am Jennifer Cobb. I am actually a 2006 graduate from John Hardin High School. Coach Wells was my freshman PE teacher many years ago. So with all that being said, we are so excited to see your all's faces and to have you here with us tonight. My role is simply to get your child college or career ready. And I would love it if your child was both. So we focus on getting your child involved in one of our 38 career pathways. Even if your child is planning on going to college, we would hope that they would get involved in a career pathway. If you will hear me preach on that a dozen times throughout the school year and then more as your child continues on. But I just wanted to introduce myself, put a face to a name, and then just encourage your child to get involved. High school is really what you make it, and we have so many opportunities for your child to get involved, and so we really hope that your child chooses to do that. And of course, please push them to do that, is because it's extremely important for their extracurriculars and just building them as a well-rounded individual to be a good citizen. So next up is Miss Peggy Snow, and she is our youth services coordinator.
Hi, I just wanted to introduce myself tonight. I'm Peggy Snow. I'm the youth service coordinator here at the high school. And this is like my favorite week in school. I was telling my daughter, like, Thursday's like my favorite day because everyone comes back. It is great to have you all coming. So my job here is to remove any non-academic barriers. So those things can be as simple as basic needs. They can be helping coordinate mental health counseling. They can be helping finding health services in the community, finding maybe a career path that maybe you're the first one in your family to ever go to college or tech school and you're thinking about what career you might want. It could be just discussing a crisis here at school. It can be looking for part-time work. So, and I try to get involved with lots of different programs. If you are starting on Thursday, anytime this trimester, anytime this year, you don't know what to do about something, you're concerned, you're worried, you need to give me a call. My job here is basically to serve every student and every family and make sure that they do not have an issue that causes their day to not work out or a barrier that gets in the way of academic success. So you can call me Peggy Snow. All right. It's 270-769-8979, or just email me, call the school, say I need to talk to Ms. Snow if you're a parent. If you're a student, tell your teacher, I need to go see Ms. Snow. I can help with school supplies. I can help with socks if you walked to school and it was raining. Basically, I'm here to help you, and I hope you have a great year. I'm really glad y'all are back in the building because all summer I was here. It was like sad. It was lonely. So we're glad to have you. Have a great year. Ms. Cates?
Okay. All right. So we were talking about credits. How many did I say you have to be a sophomore? 5.5. Nice. You can earn 7.5. The goal is 7.5. That's what everybody's going to get. We're all going to get 7.5 credits at the end of the year. But something happens and times are tough. We have to get 5.5 so that we can be sophomores next year when we come back and do this. Okay? All right. And I talked about schedule changes. Also, we do have a school nurse here who can see students. And we also have Cumberland Health, who is here they're here in the building. They're able to see students. However, the caveat to that is that you have to have signed the permission form and the release in order for your child to be seen and to be treated. Okay? And it can be as simple as coming in to do a blood pressure check or a temp check. If your child needs an ibuprofen or a Tylenol or something like that, they cannot be seen unless you fill out the paperwork for them to be seen. Now, they're always going to contact you. When they see your child, they're going to contact you as parents. But unfortunately, a lot of times kids come in and they need something fairly simple that we could do and move right on, but because the paperwork hasn't been filled out, we have to either call and you come get them. It just makes it a longer process. So I encourage you to see the school nurse tonight if you have any questions about that, but make sure that paperwork gets signed and sent back so that we can treat your child if we need to. Cell phones, the teachers will go over the cell phone policies with the students the first day of school. But what I will tell you, the cell phone policy is strictly enforced, especially we start out strong, so we set the expectation, we set the standard. But what you need to know as parents is the first time your student has his or her cell phone out in class without permission, and the teacher sends that down to the office, it is write up one, and the student can pick that up at the end of the day. Okay, it's basically a warning. Don't have that out again because, teachers will tell you when you can, but if you don't have permission and you have it out, the teacher can take it. We put it in a vault. It's secure. It's not sitting on a teacher desk. It's not out where other kids can get to it or even the teacher. We put it in a vault and the kid comes and gets it at the end of the day. If there is a second chance or a second time that happens, the kid doesn't get it back at the end of the day, you have to come pick it up as a parent or guardian. So that's a wee bit inconvenient for you. We know that, and hopefully if it were to happen again, you all work on things at home, make sure that doesn't happen a third time. If it were to continue, then we have to look at some kind of different disciplinary measure because it's causing some kind of barrier to learning, most likely if it's continuing to happen. But those are the things you need to know. First time, the student picks it up at the end of the day. The second time, the parent picks it up at the end of the day. Dress code. I'm going to hit on that just very briefly. The teachers will go into detail with students on Thursday. But what students need to know, the dress code in high school, we do have a dress code. You have probably heard things from your friends. You may have heard things from older siblings. I will tell you, the dress code last year was somewhat lax. And I'll be the first to admit that. That's part of my job, is making sure that students are in dress code. But I will be the first to admit, when I had students here only 2 days a week, I did not want to take them out of class because their shirt wasn't long enough, or their pants were sagging, or their hood was up, or different reasons that normally would cause me to have to take a student out of class if they couldn't comply with the dress code. However, we're back. We're going to do what we've always done. We're going to set the expectation that we've always had pre-COVID, and that is that pants do not sag. Hoods, if they're on your sweatshirt or your hoodie, they're not worn on your head inside the building. If you have yoga pants on, those are okay. However, your shirt has to cover your bottom all the way around, front and back at all times. Not when you pull it down and wiggle down. That doesn't work. It has to stay down. It has to be long enough if you're wearing yoga pants. If you have shorts, they have to be mid-thigh. Okay, we're not going to say 3 inches, 4 inches, 2.5 inches, whatever. Just common sense, they have to be mid-thigh. Okay, if you're wearing dresses, okay, those dresses have to, or skirts, they have to be mid-thigh. They can't, when you walk, wiggle up. Okay, they have to stay there. And if they wiggle up, then that's not in dress code. And we're going to ask you to, put something on with that, change clothes, that kind of thing. I will tell you, we do not want students out of class for dress code. That is not our goal. There's nothing I hate more than to take a student out of the classroom because he or she isn't compliant with the dress code. But unfortunately, it happens sometimes. Now, we work with the students. We try to, I've given out more T-shirts than I probably should to try to get a kid compliant and get them back in class. Miss Snow has given clothes when she probably needs to save those for needy households, not kids who can't follow the rules. But nonetheless, like I said, we try to help kids. But it gets to a point where we have to hold kids accountable and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to with the dress code. The other one I think I forgot to mention, holes in jeans. You all know, parents, it's almost impossible to find blue jeans that don't have holes above the knee. Make sure the holes are not in inappropriate places. I tell the kids, there should be more fabric than there is skin. Okay? That's my common sense approach to that. If there is more skin showing above your knee than fabric, than denim, then those aren't okay. So, use your best judgment. And again, I will tell you, sometimes I'll have kids say, well, I've worn these before and no one ever said anything. Sure enough, I bet that did happen because I speed, and I don't get a ticket every time I speed. But when I do get caught, I'm accountable for it. I pay the ticket and I roll on. So dress code is not nearly as severe as a speeding ticket, but I kind of use that analogy because kids get it. They're like, yeah, I see what you're saying. So that's kind of the way we approach that. You might get away with it, I hope, that we notice on a daily basis, but sometimes there's 3 assistant principals and 800 kids. We might not catch it, and that's not our intention, but when you are caught, if you're in violation, we'll ask you to try to work with us and get compliant. The Student Handbook, it explains all of the things I'm talking about and a lot more. It's available on the school website. I don't know if you all have ever gone to the school website. There's a lot there. It can be a little overwhelming if the first time you look at it, but be patient with it. Take some time, peruse through it, because the Student Handbook, there's guidance information, there's sports information, academic information. There's a lot of stuff there to help you and answer questions. But always, if you have questions, if you can't find it there, don't hesitate to email or call school, and we'll be glad to help you. We do a thing here called Focus 40. And those Focus 40 sessions are on Tuesdays and Thursdays. And that's a built-in class period in the day where students have an opportunity to do lots of different things. They've got their 5 normal classes, but on Tuesday and Thursday, we take a 40-minute block. And for those students who might be behind in math and need some extra help in math, their math teacher might have referred them for some tutoring. So during Focus 40, they might go for math tutoring or English tutoring, or sometimes if a student's involved in a club, the club might have a meeting with a certain group during Focus 40. Or sometimes we'll try to offer things that are aligned with students' interests, their personal interests. Like sometimes we might have a session on how to change oil or how to bake something, just something that, a life skill that would interest students. We try to make a variety of things offered during Focus 40, but make sure you ask your student, what are you doing during Focus 40? What did you do this week during Focus 40? Because they should be able to tell you something that they're doing on Tuesday and Thursday for that 40 minutes. It's meant to be productive and constructive and to help them. Lockers. I'll be honest with you, we have lots of lockers and students are welcome to use them, but we don't issue them anymore as far as every single student at John Hardin gets assigned a locker. If you want a locker, we will be glad to give you one. We can try to make sure it's where most of your classes are if need be. But typically what we do now with lockers, you can tell your teacher, they'll let us know in the office and we'll get with you and get a locker for you. Some students will have lots of books and need a locker. Some students won't have lots of books and need a locker. Some will choose. But that's really, it's a personal choice, but we definitely have plenty. We are glad for you to use them. We want you to use them if that's what you want to do. But don't sit back and wait for every student to get assigned one. If that's something you want, then speak up and tell one of your teachers, tell me, tell someone in the office, hey, I would like to get a locker to put my stuff in, and we'll make sure that we get you one very quickly. Progress reports. We've been talking about grades and credits and that kind of thing. You're going to want to look for progress reports. We do not mail those home, okay? But we do send them home with students, and what we'll do, we will send that, we used to have one call. Now it's called Send It. I don't know if you all have noticed that the format changed a little bit here in the last few weeks. But we'll get the phone call, the text, the email. If your information's correct in IC, we'll send that out and say progress reports went home with your child today. Okay, so you can ask about those. Of course, anytime you want to look at their grades, you can just look at Infinite Campus and have access there. If you don't have that set up, somebody tonight will help you get that taken care of. Oh, one thing, the district has purchased, as part of this new safety grant that we're covered under, they have purchased wand metal detectors. That's something different that you've probably not had in your school before. We won't be using those every day, okay? But we will, just like drills, lockdown drills, tornado drills, we will use those intermittently. Just so that students become familiar with them. They are familiar with the procedure for that. If we were to ever be in a safety situation where we would need to use that, the students know how they work. Okay, so if your student comes home and says, oh, they had metal detectors at school today, that's part of the new safety grant. We were given those to use as part of the Safe Schools Act. So again, it'll be random. Also in high school, I don't know if you all were familiar with this or if they even did this in middle school, but in high school, we work with Kentucky State Police and local authorities. We have random drug searches here on campus. They will bring in the drug dogs and they will do those. But I will reassure you that your students are in the classroom. When those take place, they are random. Usually they will tell us maybe the day before, sometimes the morning of. It's meant to be another safety precaution that they bring that to school. Usually it's out in the parking lot. If they were to need to come into the building, students stay in the classroom and the officers and the drug dogs are out in the hallway. They are not together, okay? But that's something I did want to mention because in high school that's a little bit different than middle school, and it can be, the first time your child sees that, it can be a little worrisome if you don't understand it. So my goal is to explain it to you so that you understand it and realize that's just part of high school. It's meant to keep your child safe. That's what that's there for. I'm about out of time. Yeah. So the last thing I'm going to ask is that you find some way while you are here at John Hardin to get involved. A lot of you already are. I see familiar faces, whether you're running cross country or you've already started doing something with a club, or I've noticed you at basketball games, football games, that kind of thing. But I want to make sure that everybody here has an opportunity to get connected to something at John Hardin, whether it's a club, whether it's a sport, whether it's something with academics. But we want you to find your niche while you're here, and there are lots of different ways to do that. You don't have to do it on Thursday when you come to school. You can figure out what we have to offer, ask questions, find out what interests you, and then make your choice. Okay? Anytime you need help with that, just ask. Teachers, administrators, any of us will be glad to help you get involved here at school. That's our goal, is to, make our family stronger, get everybody ties to John Hardin, and so that we're all helping each other and we're all connected to each other. Any questions for the good of the group before we dismiss? Yes, ma'am. Good question. That was on there. I must have skipped over that. 7:45. Doors will open at 7:45, and then students will go to the Commons area. They will be released from the Commons area at 8:10. He will stay in the Commons, and then they will announce that the EC3 kids need to go to the lobby. And that's a good question, because we get that a lot. The first day of school, all the kids will be asking, where do the EC3 kids go? So you'll just stay in the Commons, and then when it's time to get on the buses to go to EC3, then we'll release to the buses.
Does EC3 follow Hardin County's guidelines when it comes to inclement weather?
Yes.
So if we're out here, they'll be out there?
Yes, her question was, does EC3 follow Hardin County guidelines for inclement weather? And they do. We're all on the same delay, cancellation. Everybody follows the same rules. Anything else for the good of the group? You are allowed to carry a backpack at school. Okay, if you want to carry your stuff in a backpack, they do not have to be clear or mesh. Okay, you can just have a regular traditional backpack here at school. If you have a large bag, like for band, or if you're playing a sport where you've got equipment, it's probably not going to be easy to navigate the hallways with a big bag like that. So we ask that you maybe take it to your coach's office or their classroom if you can. If you don't have a locker room for whatever event you're involved in, we've even put them in the front office before if we need to. Sometimes I'll have bags stacked up in my office because the kids forget and they don't have a place to put it. So, but regular traditional backpacks, yes, you can have those in the hallways. Yeah. It's hard to see you all with those lights, so if I'm missing a hand. They are allowed to wear a coat. Long trench coats are not allowed. Okay, they cannot wear long trench coats, but a short jacket, a zip-up jacket, something like that, that is allowed. Yep, good questions. Anything else? I tell you what, I will hang around outside of the pack. They've got rehearsal coming. They've got another group coming in to rehearse, so we'll clear out the schedules. When you come out of the pack, right around the corner, the freshman schedules will be available there. I'll hang out in the lobby area. If you've got any questions for me, I'll be glad to answer those. Thank you all for coming.